The girl merely attended the dragon clan's awakening ceremony, yet she frightened all the elders until their faces turned pale and their bodies trembled uncontrollably. Simply because in this world where dragons reign supreme, she was nothing more than an ugly lizard that couldn't fly. She originally thought she would be expelled from the family, but unexpectedly, the Mad Duke wanted to be her father. Her brothers only wanted to cuddle with her. The obsessive villain insisted on marrying no one but her. And the white-haired male lead pampered her like a treasure. It turned out she was just a humble girl. And because her parents favored sons over daughters, she had never felt the warmth of a home. Her life had always been filled with misfortune. Perhaps the heavens saw the injustice she had suffered and let her transmigrate into the doted-on novel she had read in her previous life. In this world filled with magic, there was a family named Edom because they possessed the bloodline of dragons. No one on this continent could rival the Edom family, but the side effect brought by such power was the loss of reason and falling into berserk madness. The Duke was known as a madman, and she embarked on the peak path of being doted on by the entire family, thinking that this was a novel she had read tens of thousands of times. At the very least, she could become the female lead, right? But when she looked into the mirror, the snow-white pink hair stunned her. She clearly remembered the female lead had black hair. It turned out she had transmigrated into the illegitimate daughter of a collateral branch of the family, whose bloodline was questioned because of her identity as a little pinky lizard, and was eventually expelled from the family. Such a tragic ending was hard for Aileen to accept. She was so angry, she could only vent by drinking milk tea. Being unloved in her previous life was one thing, but after transmigrating, she was still a cannon fodder character. Fortunately, she had Mela by her side, which lifted her mood a little. Mela was Eileen's personal maid, and because of her meticulous care, Aileen felt a trace of warmth in this unfamiliar world. But tomorrow's family banquet made Aileen want to cry without tears, because in the original story, it was at tomorrow's banquet that Aileen was discovered to be a little pinky lizard and then expelled from the family. But since she knew the plot, she had to prepare an escape route in advance. So she came to the library, remembering that in the original story, there was an amazing orphanage. Aileen planned to look up the orphanage's exact location, but when she pushed the door open, she found someone already inside. This person was the Mad Duke from the original story, Elno, and also the heir of the Edom family. Although she had read the novel tens of thousands of times, this was her first time seeing him in person. That flowing black hair and those golden eyes accentuated the man's melancholy aura. His overwhelming protagonist halo made him noticeable at a glance in any crowd. But why would a direct line member come to a collateral branch's library? She might as well pretend not to know him. Unexpectedly, this aloof attitude caught the man's attention. The girl also found the book that recorded the orphanage. She firmly memorized the address and route, unaware that Elno had been staring at her for quite a while. Aileen was startled, and the man asked her what she was reading. Knowing the original story extremely well, she understood that if Elno found out that the 5-year-old girl in front of him could read, he might suspect she was a spy sent by a rival family, so Aileen decided to play dumb. She showed a silly smile, saying she was learning to recognize words. Although she couldn't understand them, they looked nice. The man said nothing, only cast Aileen a meaningful glance, and then walked straight out. But as soon as Elno left, Eileen's body began to tremble uncontrollably. In just an instant, she disappeared, turning into a little pinky lizard. Aileen couldn't understand it. She clearly wasn't ugly, so why did they despise her so much? But more importantly now was how to turn back into human form. She prepared to hold her clothes in her mouth and hide them in a cabinet first. Suddenly, she noticed a ring on the ground, inlaid with a high-grade ruby. It seemed to be the very one Elno had been wearing just now. At that very moment, the sound of the door opening rang out. Aileen knew the man had come back for the ring, and she quickly hid under her clothes in fright. The man slowly approached her and lifted her coat. At this critical moment, Aileen finally transformed back into human form. Elno still wore a smiling expression. "Little girl, what are you playing at?" The nervous girl hurriedly explained that she had crouched down to pick up the ring. "This is yours, right? I even wiped it clean for you." And just after the man took the ring, his heart suddenly trembled. How could this girl carry my aura? When he came back to his senses, Aileen had already run out of the library. Unaware that the ring had been deliberately dropped by the man, he had originally wanted to test the morals of a collateral child, but he hadn't expected an unexpected gain.
Her name was Aileen, right?
How damn interesting. Soon it was the next day, inside the banquet hall of the Edom family. As soon as Aileen arrived at the venue, she was stunned by the luxurious decorations. This was her first time at the family's main residence. She truly wanted to live here forever. Unfortunately, she was just a lizard, the kind destined to be expelled sooner or later. Last night, under the cover of darkness, she had gathered enough of the gold coins hidden in the estate. Then she would follow the planned route to the orphanage. With that money, she could definitely live well. Thinking of this, all her fear disappeared. As the knights' voices rang out, the leaders of the Edom family made their appearances one by one. Seated in the main position was Elno's father, the old Duke Mirai, the family heir Duke Elno, and Elno's two sons, Karen and Hillian. They were the few in the entire Edom family who had inherited the pure dragon bloodline. The intense sense of oppression made Aileen clench her fists uncontrollably. Suddenly, she noticed that Elno was actually greeting her. This made Aileen very nervous. She didn't want to have anything to do with Elno, but everyone was watching, so Aileen could only politely wave back. Yet when Elno saw this, his heartbeat involuntarily began to accelerate. The host announced the banquet had begun, and everyone in the family had to go on stage to speak, reporting on their work over the past year. Those who did well were rewarded, those who didn't were punished. This was a fine tradition of the Edom family. Soon it was Eileen's turn to go on stage. Because she was a child, the old Duke merely asked what her wish for next year was. But Aileen didn't know what to say. She was a little scared because in the original story, she was about to turn into a lizard. Thinking that she would be expelled anyway, she might as well say it herself and keep some dignity. She stated that she wanted to leave the family and live in an orphanage. The entire hall fell silent. The old Duke was stunned. In his hundreds of years of life, this was the first time he had encountered someone who wanted to leave the Edom family. But he calmly asked Aileen why. This made Aileen panic. Wasn't she supposed to transform into a lizard by now? Facing the old Duke's gaze, she was already drenched in sweat. Suddenly, a knight rushed in. He anxiously reported to the old Duke. That's 600 seconds ago. The floating mine had collapsed, and several workers and managers were trapped inside. The old Duke knew the matter had to be resolved immediately. The banquet could only be postponed. Then he looked at Aileen. Little Pinky, organize your words again. I'll listen in a couple of days to why you want to leave the family. Perhaps the old Duke's aura was too imposing. Aileen involuntarily replied, "Yes, Grandpa." And it was just these 5 short words that made the old Duke's heart suddenly tremble. It felt as though he had seen a granddaughter lost for many years. He stared at Aileen blankly for 2 seconds. But as the head of the family, he couldn't lose composure. So he turned and bid Aileen farewell. Goodbye, little Pinky.
See you another day.
His tone already carried several traces of gentleness. The next day, Aileen habitually sat in the garden, staring blankly into the wind. She felt a little dejected because she still hadn't found the way to the orphanage. Suddenly, a paper ball hit her on the head. When she turned around, another big paper ball flew toward her. She quickly dodged to the side. It was the family's naughty brats provoking her. "Hey, you little pinky ugly girl, didn't you say you were going to the orphanage? Why are you still sitting here?" This made Aileen quite angry. She was already in a bad mood, so she might as well vent. She picked up a large paper ball and threw it straight at the chubby boy. The chubby boy was instantly scared stiff. Whoa. You crazy woman. Not knowing that Aileen had only meant to scare them. Then she rolled up her sleeves. Come on, I'll let you experience some taekwondo. Seeing that Aileen wasn't easy to mess with, the chubby boys quickly ran away. But Aileen recalled memories of her previous life. It seemed her younger brother had once looked at her with the same mocking gaze. Whenever she thought of those things, Aileen would feel like crying for no reason. Suddenly, a bark interrupted her thoughts.
It was a puppy from the family.
It found Aileen very friendly. Perhaps sensing her loneliness, the puppy happily played with her. It even called out its siblings to play with Aileen together. Because of these dogs, the girl's mood improved slightly. And all of this was seen by Elno upstairs. He stood by the window with a wicked smile. Interesting. Truly too interesting. I thought she would cry, but she's quite tough. When she was reading about the orphanage, I was already surprised. After all, the Edom family is a place others rack their brains to enter. And the aura from the ring was clearly my offspring. Yet I can't find out who gave birth to you. But that's not important. You even carry my dragon power. How could I let you run away so easily, my good daughter? As for those brats who bullied you just now, they should receive some punishment too. Time passed quickly, and the family banquet resumed. The old Duke directly called Aileen to the stage. He wanted to know why this little pinky wanted to leave the family. This time, Aileen planned to confess honestly, but suddenly Elno walked up to her.
This little Pinky is my daughter.
Aileen was dumbfounded. What the heck? She suddenly remembered that in the original story, Elno had some strange hobbies, such as playing role-playing games with others. She figured the man must want to play a father-daughter role-playing game, but if she refused, she might die on the spot. Looking at the smiling man, Aileen felt a chill down her spine. Even the old Duke was rendered speechless by Elno, and the whole hall fell silent, no one daring to speak. He told his son to get off the stage immediately. Don't lose your sense of propriety on such a serious occasion. Elno burst out laughing. When has your precious son ever had propriety? With that shamelessness, the old Duke was nearly furious to death. Meanwhile, Aileen trembled beside them. Oh my God, this is terrifying. Before she could think of a countermeasure, Elno lowered his head and gently said to the girl, "Hey, little Pinky, tell that old man up there who I am to you." Aileen felt conflicted. She still didn't want to be involved with Elno, but she remembered that those who played role play with Elno always received a large sum of money afterward. She had never felt fatherly love anyway. Maybe she could play along? And his gaze seemed to leave her no room to refuse. Having thought this through, she directly said, yes, he's my dad. I'm his kid. As soon as she finished speaking, the man pulled her into his arms. That's right, my good daughter. From now on, Daddy will take you flying. The old Duke couldn't hold back any longer and started scolding the man. But unexpectedly, Elno suddenly changed expression, looking pitiful. Old man, lower your voice. You're scaring my daughter. Seeing the man fully immersed in his role, Aileen knew she had to cooperate, so she immediately put on a sweet expression. Grandpa, please don't be angry. Aileen will behave. The old Duke was instantly stunned. He should have been furious, yet he found himself unable to get angry at all. Helpless, he could only announce the banquet over and hurry away from the two of them.
Damn it, this is strange.
Why does my heart soften whenever that little Pinky speaks? And Aileen was taken to the main residence by the man. Feeling the man's embrace, she truly longed for the sensation of fatherly love, but she knew clearly in her heart that this was just a game. She only needed to cooperate obediently until the game ended. She must not take it seriously. But the man revealed a triumphant expression. Just wait, little girl. I'll pamper you to the heavens. Elno arranged a luxurious princess room for her, and every morning he personally came to wake Aileen up. He brought a lavish breakfast of soy milk and fried dough sticks. Even more ridiculously, damn it, he insisted on feeding me, although she wasn't used to it. The fried dough sticks tasted good, and the man quietly watched her eat every day. He prepared a gift for Aileen. Aileen thought her chance had come. She had to ask for more benefits before he got bored of the game. So she told Elno that she wanted an account with the Magic Tower, because in this world, the banks were governed by the Magic Tower, and users' assets were protected by triple layers of magic and enchantments. No passbook was needed. Only the owner could approach it. Aileen had to plan for the future. After all, if she left the Edom family, carrying a huge fortune on her would definitely make her a target for robbery. And in this world, having money alone wasn't enough to open a Magic Tower account. Someone of status had to step forward for you. Elno had long seen through the girl's little scheme. Does the little girl want to leave that badly? He stood up and told Aileen, let's go. Daddy will take care of it for you right now, and I'll take you shopping as well. Her radiant smile left even Aileen staring in a daze. Soon, they arrived at the commercial street. The girl was captivated by the fantastical scenes unfolding before her. In less than 10 minutes, they had already registered her as a member of the Magic Tower. Then the man took her to a toy store. He told Aileen to pick whatever she liked, to buy as many as she wanted. But Aileen had no interest in toys at all, and was just about to refuse Elno. Yet in the very next second, the man looked at the shop owner and casually tossed over a bag of gold coins. There are 5 million here. Pack up all the toys in your store for me. The shop owner grinned foolishly, while Aileen was stunned. The Duke is way too domineering. Unexpectedly, the man only gave her 2 choices. Either you pick yourself, or I buy the whole store. Seeing this, Aileen had no choice but to compromise and quickly said she would choose herself. But since in her previous life, she had hardly ever played with toys and could only watch her younger brother play, faced with a dazzling array of goods, she truly had no idea which one to choose. Suddenly, a doll caught her attention. Sure enough, girls are naturally interested in this kind of thing. She brought the doll to the Duke and told the man that she liked this one. The man was a little puzzled. You're only taking a doll? Because it looks a lot like father. So Aileen likes it the most. After all, she still had to coax Elno for now. Even if it was an act, she had to play the obedient little girl. And the man fell for it completely. The joy of having a darling daughter was incomparable to those 2 brats. Then he picked Aileen up, and after learning that the remaining tiger plush toys were all displayed over there, he snapped his fingers, magic surging, and the other tiger plush toys instantly burst into flames. Aileen and the shop owner were both terrified. That's our store's prized treasure. But in the next second, another bag of gold coins was thrown in front of him. Once those toys finish burning, the flames will extinguish on their own. And let me kindly remind you, don't sell that tiger plush toy again in the future. Consider it as a gesture of my sincerity. After all, my daughter's toy must be one of a kind. Then he looked at Aileen gently, but the girl was already drenched in cold sweat from the man's methods. After returning home, the old master had already begun gathering everyone for a meeting, because the Edom family was involved in a wide range of businesses, whether it was magical artifacts, various commodities, or even products for magical armies. Yet in such a serious setting, Elno was acting as if it were a game. He brought over a hamburger, completely ignoring others' gazes, and fed it to Aileen himself. Facing the old master's glare, Aileen could only complain inwardly, since she had to prioritize cooperating with Elno. But to keep the old master from disliking her, she might as well act cute. Grandpa, I'm sorry. Aileen won't eat hamburgers anymore. Please don't scold Daddy, okay? As soon as she finished speaking, the old master instantly melted. His voice softened as well. It's not your fault. If you want to eat, then eat. Then he had the family members report their work. The other industries were all fine, except for the floating mine, because the last accident had made the mining of floating stones very difficult, and the output was extremely low. Upon hearing about floating stones, Aileen suddenly remembered that those stones were very important in the novel, floating in the air year-round and hard to mine. They could provide buffs to magical artifacts and weapons, and in the future, the heroine would discover the entrance to the floating stone mine, which was located in the back mountain of the Duke's estate. Aileen decided to steal the heroine's credit, though she felt a little sorry about it. She had to gain as many benefits as possible before being neglected. So she told the old master that she had seen that kind of flying stone. The moment she said this, everyone instantly crowded around her. But in the next second, Elno used magic to blast them all away. His gaze was icy. From now on, keep this distance when speaking to my daughter. However, because the floating stones were too important, the old master stepped forward as well and asked Aileen where she had seen them. She pointed outside the window, on the back mountain. The old master was in disbelief. Damn it. He had lived for hundreds of years and never knew there were floating stones on the back mountain. Yet for some reason, he believed the girl's words and immediately arranged for people to investigate. A knight hurried in to report, "Old master, your cousin's daughter's daughter has been found." Upon hearing this, the man immediately lost his composure. That child has finally been found. Then he hurried out without delay, and only Aileen knew that the heroine had appeared. This made her feel uneasy. It seemed her good days were coming to an end, but I've already prepared thoroughly. As long as the heroine's arrival sets the plot back on track, I will quietly exit the stage and become the supporting character I was meant to be. Mela had finally arrived at the main residence. Thanks to Aileen, she could now live in a big house as well. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. At this time, it should be Elno. But when she opened the door, standing outside were Karen and Hillian. The red-haired one was the eldest brother, Karen. He was enthusiastic and lively, with extremely high magical talent, but a very hot temper. The black-haired one was the second brother, Hillian. He was calm and steady, and also a genius in swordsmanship. They told Aileen that father asked us to bring you over. Hurry up. But her short little legs couldn't keep up with the boy's pace, so she could only keep running. Seeing this, Hillian directly strode up to Aileen. "Climb on, I'll carry you." Aileen was a little surprised. She had thought she would be scolded. Little did she know, both brothers were quite kind at heart. Karen even told her, "Little Pinky, don't take father too seriously. He often plays these kinds of role-playing games. Don't be the one who gets hurt in the end." Only then did Aileen realize that these two brothers actually treated her quite well. Soon, they arrived at their destination. Elno had already been waiting for a long time. Aileen took small, adorable steps and threw herself into the man's arms. After all, the script wasn't over yet, and the performance had to continue. At the dining table, the man told them that yesterday someone found my sister's daughter. As he spoke, he kept pinching Eileen's little cheeks. But suddenly, the man's ring began to fluctuate, and a terrifying sound echoed throughout the room. The teddy bear fell to the ground as well. With the last of his rationality, the man told his two sons, "Immediately, right now, take Aileen away," because his dragon power had already begun to go berserk. He would lose his mind, and all living beings within 100 meters would be affected, and he himself would be imprisoned by the enraged old master, becoming a monster in name and reality. With the last of his reason, the man ordered his two sons to take Aileen away. But Aileen didn't want to leave, because seeing the Duke in such splitting agony, Eileen's heart began to ache inexplicably. A strong urge to save him spread through her mind. She finally remembered that in the Duke's private garden grew a fruit that could temporarily suppress the berserk state, planted by the Duke's late wife. However, no one had known about it. It was only discovered later in the novel by Karen and Hillian. Then Aileen used all her strength and ran swiftly toward the garden. She took out her purse filled with 5 million gold coins and poured them all onto the ground. Carefully, she picked the fruit, filling an entire bag. Suddenly, a scream rang out. She knew father had gone mad. The man was attacking the surrounding servants indiscriminately. Eileen's arrival saved a servant's life. The man casually threw the servant aside and reached out to grab Aileen. The girl was terrified, but she knew she couldn't retreat. This time, she had to be brave. Karen anxiously told Aileen to run, not to go over, but father had already lifted her high. The girl was being choked and couldn't breathe, yet her willpower overcame the pain. She bit down hard on the man's hand. At the moment he loosened his grip, she took out the fruit, grabbed his collar, and stuffed it straight into his mouth. Then she pressed his mouth shut to prevent him from spitting it out. Seeing the dark aura around him gradually dissipate, Aileen finally relaxed. It worked at last. The man regained his senses and gently held his daughter's hand, softly thanking her. Although he had lost his reason, he remembered everything that had happened. Exhausted, the girl threw herself into her father's arms. She was simply too tired. Her eyelids kept drooping, and in the last second before she fell asleep, she saw the tiger plush toy. Was father's first gift to her broken? Looking at his sleeping daughter, the man thought of his late wife. The stubborn look on this girl's face was exactly like hers. But she, already pregnant, had not survived long enough to see the child born. The man felt a deep ache in his heart. Looking at the shattered teddy bear on the ground, the man gently picked it up. This was his daughter's favorite toy. He truly regretted burning all the others back then. Meanwhile, Karen simply picked up Eileen's bag and told Hillian to find this kind of fruit and send it to his laboratory. He would explain the rest later. Then he followed Elno out. They were all puzzled. that fruit capable of suppressing the berserk state. They had searched for it for many years without success. How did Aileen know about it? But what Karen cared about wasn't that. He pleaded with his father to spare Aileen. She is already pitiful enough. Can you stop playing with her feelings? Even considering how she risked her life to save you this time. Before he could finish speaking, Elno shot him a cold glare. Karen, just handle your own affairs. Do you understand? Faced with his father's terrifying gaze, the boy could only give up, though he felt it wasn't worth it for Aileen. As for Aileen, several maids were assigned to attend to her closely. At 3 in the morning, Aileen finally woke up. Seeing that only Mela was by her side, she suddenly felt a little disappointed, having thought her father would be there. It seemed she had overthought it again, and that made sense, judging by the time that person was about to appear. In the main residence of the Duke's estate, a black-haired girl had appeared. She was Shalnai, the heroine from the original novel. Meanwhile, Aileen was still drinking her milk tea. Mela told her, "It's cold. You should eat quickly. The Duke asked me to take you over later. He said he wants to introduce a new friend to you." Aileen knew the heroine had arrived. It seemed her father-daughter game was about to end. She ate this breakfast very calmly, without saying a single word. Mela kept praising Aileen for being so well-behaved. Even though she had now become the Duke's daughter, she was still as obedient as ever. Suddenly, Mela's expression turned sinister. "My dear young lady, you must continue to obediently listen to me in the future." Aileen froze for a moment, feeling that something was not quite right. After Aileen went to see the Duke, Mela smirked wickedly. "Looks like it's time to begin." Aileen arrived at Elno's place. She finally met the legendary heroine. She seemed very shy, constantly hiding behind the old master. Aileen stiffly forced a smile and greeted them. The old master called Aileen over and praised her. "You did well with the floating stone matter. There really are many floating minerals where you said. And while I was away, you even saved Elno when he went berserk. Go ahead. What reward do you want?" Seeing her chance, Aileen stated directly, "I want money, lots and lots of money. If it's not too much, just give me 1 million gold coins." Unexpectedly, the old master sighed. "You silly girl, you accomplished 2 major feats and only ask for this little money." Then he took out his magic tower VIP bracelet and directly transferred 100 million gold coins into Eileen's account. Looking at the numbers in her account, Aileen felt like she was about to take off. She immediately bowed repeatedly to the old master. As expected of Grandpa, so generous with his spending. But in the next second, Elno picked her up. "Good daughter, that old man is just dismissing you like a beggar." The man then transferred another 900 million gold coins into Eileen's account. Looking at the astronomical balance, the girl was instantly numb with shock. She was utterly astonished. Haha, happiness came so suddenly that I can hardly take it in. Seeing this, the old master could only awkwardly change the subject. He told Elno to quickly handle Shalnai's adoption procedures. Unexpectedly, the man refused outright, stating that he only had one daughter, Aileen. "Even though her purification ability is very useful to me, if you want me to be her father, that's impossible." Aileen hadn't expected the Duke to react so abnormally, but the atmosphere in the room was suffocating. So she asked the man to put her down. Leaving this awkward situation was the wisest choice. Now that she had this sum of money, she wasn't afraid even if she were kicked out. She was in a very good mood at that moment. But just as she was about to return to her room, she noticed Mela sneaking around. However, Aileen did not pay much attention to it. The next morning, when she had just woken up, she learned that Elno had been confined by the old master. The reason was that he refused to adopt Shalnai. Aileen suddenly felt a bit moved. Could she continue playing the father-daughter game after all? Then she went to Elno's room. To her surprise, the heroine Shalnai was also there. She immediately wanted to leave, but the man told her to come over quickly. He handed the repaired tiger plush toy to Aileen and promised he would never damage it again. Holding the toy, now enhanced with magic, it seemed even softer than before. She happily thanked Elno, and that very smile made Shalnai take a liking to her. She gently moved closer to Aileen.
"So cute.
"May I pinch your cheeks?" Aileen generously handed over the plush toy. "Big sister, pinch as much as you like." Unexpectedly, Shalnai grabbed Eileen's cheeks instead. While pinching, she praised, "Aileen, you're way too cute. So tender, just like a freshly baked hamburger." And just like that, Aileen became close with Shalnai, especially when she called her big sister in that milky, childish voice. Shalnai couldn't resist wanting to hug her. Only Elno at the side seemed somewhat unhappy. For a long period afterward, Aileen was almost inseparable from Shalnai every day. Shalnai was as warm as a real older sister, not only feeding Aileen milk tea. And just like that, they became good sisters and close best friends. Shalnai would tell her many stories about the outside world, and Aileen finally learned about Shalnai's inner thoughts. It turned out that Shalnai didn't want to become Elno's daughter at all. But according to the rules, Elno is my uncle. My mother is gone, and only he can become my guardian. Aileen suddenly recalled the plot of the original novel. It seemed that Shalnai had always had this kind of personality. At first, she and Elno couldn't stand each other, But later, because of certain events, their relationship gradually warmed. The first event was the theft of the dragon relic, because the Edom family possessed 3 dragon relics in total: the old master's Hellfire Flame, Elno's balance fragment earring, and the dragon orb. This time, what was stolen was Elno's balance earring, an extremely important item that stabilized his unstable mental state. Besides the one Elno wore, there was another balance earring stored somewhere in the Duke's estate. In the end, the stored one was stolen, and it was Shalnai who found the culprit, after which she and Elno grew closer and closer. But now Aileen simply couldn't remember who the culprit was, nor did she want to steal Shalnai's credit, because she felt that someone as outstanding as Shalnai deserved to be cherished and doted on. However, on the 6th day, Mela told her, "In 2 days, it will be Duke Elno's birthday. You haven't prepared a gift yet, have you?" Sealed memories suddenly awakened. It turned out that the culprit who stole the balance earring was Mela. She deceived Aileen, saying that the Duke's earring actually came in a pair. If they brought the other one for the Duke to wear, it could suppress his madness. "I know where the other one is. Go secretly take it out and give it to the Duke. He'll definitely be very happy." "Well, young lady, you'll listen to me, right?" Aileen refused on the spot. "Dad said stealing is wrong. I'll pretend I didn't hear what you just said. Don't ever have such thoughts again." Aileen wanted to give Mela a chance to correct herself, because during her loneliest days, it was Mela who had stayed by her side. But Mela refused to stop. She began threatening Aileen. "If you don't obediently listen, I'll reveal that you're a lizard beast man. It seems your Duke father hates lizards the most." Aileen was stunned. So in the original novel, the reason she had transformed at the banquet was because something had secretly been added to that cup of milk tea. Mela had actually played dirty against her, yet she couldn't even muster anger now. What she felt more was sadness, the stabbing pain of being betrayed by someone she trusted. But what she didn't expect was that Mela would formally frame her. She stole the other earring herself and falsely accused Aileen of doing it. She even spread throughout the family that Aileen was a lizard beast man. As a result, to deal with this matter, the old master summoned everyone in the family to the meeting room. The old master was extremely furious, as this matter concerned the family's reputation. He questioned Aileen. "I heard you stole Elno's earring, and that you're actually a beast man. Tell me what's going on." Looking at Mela acting on the side, Aileen gritted her teeth in anger. But just as she was about to speak, a sudden, intense dizziness struck her. This was the sign of an impending transformation. She immediately understood that Mela had tampered with something again. In the next second, Aileen disappeared instantly. In her place was a little pinky lizard, terrified to the extreme. She could only keep running frantically, and the crowd fell into chaos. They all believed Mela's words. After all, her beastman identity was real, so the earring theft must have been her doing as well. But halfway through her escape, a fat man stepped on her and crushed her tail. The pain made her scream incessantly, yet her instinct to survive still drove her to climb desperately up the wall. Around her were harsh accusations. How dare a lowly reptile like a lizard beast man set foot in the Edom family? Aileen cried in sorrow. Mela's betrayal was one thing, but she was even trying to drive her to death. Suddenly, Elno walked beneath the pillar. He stretched out his hands and spoke to her gently. Hearing Elno's voice, she cried even harder. She knew the father-daughter game had ended. Though it had been brief, Aileen had truly and genuinely felt what fatherly love was like. Then she saw that little bear plush toy again. In her daze, she wasn't paying attention. She slipped from the pillar. She thought that falling from such a height would probably mean the end. A powerful survival instinct surged again. She didn't want to die, nor did she want to stay here any longer. The moment her tears slid down, the hidden power within her was awakened. A dazzling light suddenly appeared, and in an instant, Aileen was teleported thousands of miles away, and the tiger doll disappeared along with her. While she was still groggy, she felt someone gently holding her in their palm. The boy's voice carried a doting tone. "Poor little thing. Even your tail is gone. Since no one cares about you, from now on you'll be my pet." On the other side, watching Aileen suddenly disappear, Mela was thrilled. This was a huge win. Not only did I successfully frame that wretched girl, but no one will trace it back to me. But in the next second, she was slashed to the ground by Elno's sword, his voice frighteningly cold. "You're the one who made my daughter cry, right? Then there's no need for you to exist." Magic surged, and Mela was killed on the spot. And the fat man who had stepped on and broken Eileen's tail likewise failed to escape the man's wrath. Elno even ended up fighting the old master on the spot because of this. He pointed at the old master and angrily rebuked him, saying he had gone too far. "You clearly knew yesterday that Mela was a spy from a rival family, yet you still let Aileen be humiliated. Even if she is a lizard beast man, she is still my daughter. It's not your place to criticize her." Meanwhile, Aileen was taken to the orphanage by the boy. It happened to be the very orphanage Aileen had always wanted to visit New Sprout Time. The boy gave Aileen the name Little Pinky. Looking at the purple-haired boy with a silly grin in front of her, he was the future master of the Magic Tower, the king of villains, Liehart. He was also the most obsessive madman in the original story. Although he was a magical genius, He had been withdrawn since childhood and severely lacked familial love. He muttered to Aileen, "Little Pinky, remember, I saved you, so I'm your master, understand?" Aileen had no desire to pay attention to him. She only wanted to know how she could turn back into human form. But Lightheart had no idea about any of this. He continued to declare on his own that he would avenge Aileen and deal with all the scoundrels who broke her tail. Suddenly, the door was pushed open, and the newcomer had an imposing presence. The man was the director of the orphanage, and also a former hero. He scolded Lightheart for skipping class. At the same time, he noticed Aileen being held in the boy's hands. He told the boy, "How many times have I told you? No pets in the orphanage." He slowly approached the boy and ordered him to hand over the pet. Unexpectedly, Lightheart flew into a rage after hearing this and refused to back down in the slightest. "Even if you're the director, I won't let you take my things." As he finished speaking, his magic power erupted instantly. Aileen trembled in fear. "Oh my god, this kid really is a lunatic." That director was once the god of war in the Holy Demon War, and Lightheart actually dared to attack him. But the man was not angry. He calmly told the boy that he wasn't going to throw the pet away, only to take it somewhere more suitable. Seeing that their standoff wasn't going anywhere, Aileen simply jumped down herself. She thought she might as well help the boy. After all, he had saved her. So she bowed repeatedly to the director in greeting, leaving the man stunned. He tentatively asked, "Little lizard, do you want to live in the orphanage?" Aileen nodded frantically. After seeing that the little lizard could understand human speech, the man finally agreed to let Lightheart keep her. "But you must attend your afternoon classes." After the director left, the boy immediately threw himself in front of Aileen. "Oh my god, little Pinky, you can actually understand human speech?" Lightheart was overjoyed and carefully held Aileen in his palm again. "This really is fate arranged by heaven. From now on, you must stay by my side, understand?" His voice was unexpectedly gentle. "If you dare to run away, I'll chase you to the ends of the earth and then lock you up." He even kissed her on the face. He truly was a lunatic. In the cafeteria that afternoon, Lightheart appeared there for once because he wanted to bring some fruit back for Aileen, but due to his arrival, the cafeteria immediately became unusually noisy, with many people whispering about him. "That guy is Lightheart, right? Acting all aloof all day long. I really don't know why the director favors him so much. He even gets a single room. I heard he used to fight stray dogs for food, so maybe the director just pities him." They went on and on, growing more excessive, completely unaware that danger was approaching. Lightheart directly grabbed his food and hurled it at them. "What are you barking like a dog for, clown?" The other party fell to the ground, his face full of disbelief. Lightheart actually dared to hit him. Yet, faced with Lightheart's expression as if he wanted to devour someone, the boy not only wasn't afraid, but instead cursed at Lightheart even more fiercely. Naturally, Lightheart wouldn't tolerate it. Ice magic instantly gathered in his hand. But in the next second, he was stopped by the director. He told the boy to calm down. "Have you forgotten the rule that magic cannot be used against people?" Lightheart felt extremely wronged. "You clearly heard what they said about me. Why is it that when they insult me, you don't step in, but the moment I fight back, you show up?" He violently shook off the man's hand and ran straight out. Meanwhile, Aileen still wore a resigned expression. She still hadn't found a way to turn back into human form. Suddenly, someone pushed the door open. Aileen instantly darted under the bed to hide. It was the director. He told Aileen that Lightheart had run out. After hearing this, Aileen crawled out from under the bed. The man gently requested, "Aileen, could you help me find him?" Then Aileen went with the director to the outskirts of town. The director placed Aileen on the ground and told her to search around the town's perimeter, since the town was still too dangerous for a little lizard. To her surprise, Aileen discovered that her nose was even more sensitive than a dog's. She immediately picked up Lightheart's scent. Before long, she saw the boy on a swing. That lonely figure and the suppressed sound of crying suddenly made Aileen empathize with him. She struggled to climb onto the boy and rubbed against him repeatedly. This was the only way she could comfort him now. Seeing Aileen come to find him, the boy's emotions finally calmed, and he was deeply moved. As an orphan, Lightheart had always been extremely emotionally fragile. With reddened eyes, he apologized to Aileen. "I didn't bring back the fruit I promised you. It's all those jerks' fault." Aileen's memories suddenly surfaced. She finally recalled another part of Lightheart's storyline. It turned out that Lightheart was not truly an orphan. He was the youngest son of the Leet family who had gone missing. In the original story, it was only after Lightheart became an adult and met the heroine that he learned of his identity. But by then, he had already become an obsessive madman. Thinking of this, Aileen suddenly had an idea. She would help the boy find his family ahead of time. With his family's companionship, she believed Lightheart would not walk the path of madness. But in the face of Aileen's impassioned inner monologue, the boy indicated that he couldn't understand a single word. Still, he gently patted Aileen's head. "No matter what, thank you for coming to find me. Because of you, this lonely world doesn't feel so unbearable." After that, the boy, having calmed down, was finally willing to return to the orphanage. Under Aileen's guidance along the way, he saw the director anxiously searching everywhere for him, and when the man spotted him at a glance, he rushed toward him impatiently, That feeling of recovering something once lost could never be faked. Only then did the boy realize that perhaps the director had actually always treated him quite well. Watching this scene, Aileen felt especially gratified. She secretly resolved in her heart that she would definitely help Lightheart find his parents early and let him live more happily than he did now. That night, the exhausted boy fell asleep very early. From the director's words, Aileen learned that because of Lightheart's identity as a mage, many people were jealous of and excluded him. He himself believed that he had been abandoned by his parents, so deep down he was extremely fragile. But I don't believe a mage would abandon his own child, so I've been searching for his parents. There just hasn't been any progress. So, little lizard, I hope your appearance can gradually heal his broken heart. Looking at the sleeping boy in front of her, Aileen deeply understood him. Wasn't her own experience similar? On her back, 2 small wings quietly grew out, but she didn't know it all. She only felt an itch on her back. Unable to resist the drowsiness, she slowly drifted into sleep as well. Early the next morning, Lightheart was punished by the director and sent to clean. The chores of the entire orphanage nearly exhausted the boy to death. After finally finishing, he could at last return to find little Pinky. But when he eagerly pushed the door open, he found a strange girl in the room, wearing his clothes. It was the first time he had seen such an adorable girl like Aileen. His cheeks flushed uncontrollably, but then he suddenly remembered. Wait, this is my room. Hey kid, who are you? Where did you come from? Aileen told him to calm down. She was the little lizard. The boy also noticed the pale pink layer of shed skin on the ground. He panicked instantly, thinking Aileen had killed his little lizard. The enraged Lightheart prepared to release ice magic on the spot. Hearing the commotion, the director rushed to the room as well. He saw the newly grown tail behind Aileen, and thus completely cleared up the misunderstanding. The director confirmed Aileen's identity as a beast man. Only Lightheart still looked incredulous, and when asked about Aileen's parents, the girl immediately thought of Elno. Her eyes turned frightened in an instant. Knowing she had her difficulties, the director did not press further and said she could continue living there, but we need to find a way to hide your tail. Coincidentally, I'll be going to the capital soon. I'll also ask around about a method for beast men to retract their tails. When Aileen heard that he was going to the capital, another part of her memory awakened. Lightheart's parents, the Collin family, were in the capital. That meant she would soon be able to help him find his family. But because Aileen kept staring at him, the boy suddenly became shy. How strange. What is this feeling? In the days that followed, Aileen played with the boy every day. The boy saved all the good things for Aileen. For the first time, she followed him into the forest and saw his secret base. Lightheart took out his most precious possession from his chest to show her. It was a fragment of a blue gemstone. The boy told her he had picked it up a long time ago, but Aileen recognized it at a glance. This was clearly Elno's balance fragment. How did it end up in Lightheart's hands? Seeing Aileen's delighted expression, the boy was generous. Little Pinky, you like this, right? Then I'll give it to you. But there's a saying about reciprocity. How about you give me something too? But the most precious thing Aileen could give him now was helping him find his family. Then she told the boy, how about I take you to the capital? But he refused her on the spot. Aileen continued, trying to persuade him. There are lots and lots of delicious crayfish in the capital. Most importantly, I'll give you a huge surprise there. Seeing how much Aileen wanted to go, the boy finally compromised. But if your surprise doesn't satisfy me, little Pinky, then you'll be my family from now on, and you'll have to stay by my side for the rest of your life. Aileen knew she couldn't make promises lightly, but finding his family would surely be a surprise that satisfied him. So she hooked her little finger with Lightheart's to seal the promise. Then they began planning how to secretly go to the capital. The director definitely won't agree to take us along, so we'll sneak into the carriage while he's refueling it. But the boy immediately rejected her plan. That's ridiculous. Yet the girl knew this was the only chance, because she not only had to return the balance fragment to Elno, but also help Lightheart find his parents. The boy merely glanced at the rough sketch Aileen had drawn, and agreed to go crazy with her this once. The girl was curious why he had suddenly changed his mind. The boy simply revealed a bright smile. Because we're family, so no matter what you want to do, I'll be with you. At this moment, Aileen still didn't know that Lightheart had already regarded her as his spiritual pillar. Then they successfully boarded the carriage to the capital, thinking everything would go smoothly. But halfway through, they were caught on the spot by the headmaster. The man looked helplessly at the 2 little brats in front of him. He asked them, since they were unfamiliar with the capital, what were they going there for, and said he would arrange a carriage to send them back later. Aileen knew she had to persuade the headmaster now, or all their previous efforts would be in vain. She took out the fragment of balance. She told the headmaster that she had to personally deliver this gem to the Edom family, and that only if she went in person would they accept it. If you go on my behalf, you will definitely be suspected, so please, take us with you. The man simply stared at the fragment of balance in a daze for a few seconds. Then he nodded and agreed to Aileen's request. But after the man stepped onto the carriage first, Lightheart remained standing where he was. Aileen thought he was angry, since she had said going to the capital was to give him a surprise. Who knew the boy wasn't angry at all. Instead, He was extremely happy and praised Aileen for being so clever. Your ability to adapt on the spot is amazing. I only gave you a gem, and you managed to make up such a convincing story. I was almost fooled by you. Seeing that the boy had misunderstood, Aileen didn't explain further. After all, the less he knew about her matters, the safer it would be. Soon, they arrived at the capital. The headmaster settled them in an inn and instructed them not to wander around, saying he had matters to attend to and would return in 3 days. He also gave them a magic communication device. Use this to contact me if there's an emergency. As for your matter, Aileen, I'll help you handle it after I finish my business. After the two of them fell asleep, the headmaster finally left the inn with peace of mind. Meanwhile, in the Edom family estate, Shalnai was using her purification ability to try hard to calm the dragon power inside Elno. But she found it strange. Normally, others only needed a few minutes to settle down. Yet this man's aura was still restless. Was it because of Aileen? Elno gradually lost patience as well and withdrew his hand in one swift motion. That's enough. Stop wasting time on me and just focus on your own work. Then Karen and Hillian came to report to him, saying there was still no news of Aileen today. The man walked to the door of Eileen's room. He recalled the scenes from when his daughter was still by his side. The empty room before his eyes made his chest ache in waves. My daughter. Where on earth are you? Aileen got up early in the morning. She now had only 1 gold coin on her. It was borrowed from Liehart. She had to spend it sparingly. With this 1 gold coin, she needed to find a way to reach Duke Colin's residence. Then she covered her tail with a cloak and confidently headed out. But because her stomach was truly too hungry, she first bought 2 bottles of milk to fill her stomach. She arrived at the square and needed to find a taxi first. But she noticed someone squatting in the alley. He looked like a little beggar. Looking at the half bottle of milk left in her hand, kind-hearted Aileen ultimately decided to share some with him. Handsome, if you don't mind. We can share this drink. The boy slowly took off his hood, revealing his jet black, white hair. He stared at Aileen blankly for quite a while. She was the only person willing to give him food. He took the milk but couldn't bear to drink it, murmuring, I've waited so long. Finally, I found you. But when he came back to his senses, Aileen had already walked far away. The boy showed a satisfied smile. Lord Alma, true God, it seems I've found what was missing. Meanwhile, Aileen was still on the street looking for an empty taxi, but she realized the white-haired boy had been following her. Aileen was speechless. This guy isn't clinging to me, is he? Stop following me. I don't have any milk left for you. Unexpectedly, the boy smiled and said, You gave me milk, so from now on, you are my master. Aileen was completely stunned. She told the boy to stop joking. I can barely take care of myself, and you want me to be your master? But the boy suddenly dropped to his knees with a thud. Please take me in, master. I'll be more obedient than a dog. Woof, woof, woof. This move practically fried Eileen's CPU, and because of the boy's behavior, more and more people around them began to gather and watch. To avoid unnecessary trouble, Aileen could only agree helplessly. Fine, fine, you can follow me. Can you get up first? Only then did the boy reveal a bright smile. Okay. Master, where are you going? Aileen didn't answer directly, only telling him to stop calling her master. And you're clearly older than me. Is it really appropriate to call me master? But the boy still looked foolishly sincere. It's very appropriate, master. Aileen was about to be driven mad by him. She finally managed to find a taxi. She briefly explained her purpose. Unexpectedly, the driver refused outright. Kiddo, you need a guardian to accompany you if you want to ride. After saying that, the driver stepped on the gas and drove off. Upon learning that Aileen was heading to Duke Colin's residence, the boy immediately told her, Master, I know where that place is. The girl was just about to wave her hand in refusal. The next second, the boy habitually knelt on one knee again. Helpless, Aileen could only agree to let him lead the way. Before long, they arrived at the entrance of Duke Colin's residence. The boy said, You go in. I'll wait here for you to come out, master. Aileen instantly felt that this guy must have some mental issues. So good-looking and so kind-hearted. What if some bad people picked him up? It seemed she could only temporarily take him in. When the guards of the ducal residence heard that Aileen had news about their young master, they immediately said respectfully, We will report to Duke Colin at once. Please wait a moment. Meanwhile, Liehart, who had just woken up, saw the note Aileen had left behind and instantly broke down, thinking that Aileen was going to secretly abandon him. Who told you to make your own decision to go find my parents? They abandoned me long ago. Now even you, Aileen, are going to abandon me too? The boy felt extremely wronged. Meanwhile, Aileen successfully entered the ducal residence. She finally met Duke Colin McCall. Just as described in the original novel, he was absurdly handsome. The man originally did not hold much hope for Aileen until she spoke about details concerning Liehart. His name is Liehart. He has long purple hair, and he is skilled in ice magic. More importantly, he has always worn a white square-shaped earring. Duke Colin trembled violently. He took an earring out of a safe. He asked Aileen whether it was exactly the same as this one. After receiving Eileen's affirmative answer, the man could no longer maintain his composure. Now, immediately, at once, take me to see him. But Aileen reached out to stop him. She explained that she had come secretly behind Lionheart's back. If you suddenly appear now, it might have the opposite effect. It would be better to let me explain to him first and let him prepare himself mentally. Tomorrow I'll bring him to see you. Hearing her say this, the man calmed down and, upon careful thought, found it reasonable. Then he asked for the address of the inn where Aileen was staying and said he would personally send a carriage to pick them up tomorrow before letting Aileen leave. Just as Aileen walked out of the ducal residence gate, the white-haired boy immediately followed and asked how things had gone. The girl told him it was settled, then prepared to take out her remaining 2 small coins to buy some buns as a reward for herself. But in a moment of carelessness, the fragment of balance fell out of her pocket. Right beside it was a sewer, and she reflexively cried out. Luckily, the boy reacted quickly and grabbed the fragment into his palm. I have 2 of these myself. Look, they're almost the same. And the moment he took out his own fragments of balance, Eileen's memory was awakened once again. In the original novel, the Stone of Balance originally belonged to the Edom family as a sacred relic. Many years ago, for certain reasons, it was split into 7 fragments and scattered across the world. Elno holds 3 pieces. Lionheart possesses 1 piece. Another piece's whereabouts are unknown. As for the remaining 2 pieces, they are in the hands of the future high priest, and the white-haired boy before her was the future male lead who would stir up storms, Lusalawen. In the original story, it was said that he was a steel straight man with unwavering convictions. But no matter how you looked at him, he seemed more like a little puppy, the kind that even goes woof woof. After learning his true identity, Aileen prepared to draw a clear line between herself and the white-haired boy. Unexpectedly, Lusalawen was on the verge of tears on the spot and said pitifully, "Master, are you abandoning me?" With no other choice, Aileen could only take him back to the inn with her. She told the white-haired boy to wait outside the door and absolutely not make a sound. She wanted to give Lionheart a surprise first, but the moment she pushed the door open, she found the room already smashed into complete disarray. Fragments were scattered all over the floor, startling the girl. By the moonlight, she saw the boy standing silently in the center of the room. But Lionheart had no interest in so-called family. He only felt that he had been abandoned once again, tears welling up in his eyes. "Didn't you promise me that you would stay with me forever? But why? Now, even you are going to leave me behind." He finally couldn't hold it in and burst into tears. Seeing the boy completely emotionally shattered, Aileen kept comforting him, saying that she had never planned to abandon him. "You misunderstood. Your parents never truly abandoned you either." Aileen took out the missing person notice from the newspaper. It turned out that 10 years ago, because of Lionheart's birth, Duke Colin and his wife had given all their love to him. This aroused jealousy in certain people. While the Duke was away from home, someone secretly sold Lionheart to pirates. That person has already received the punishment he deserved. And those pirates were all wiped out long ago during these years. Duke Colin has been searching for you every day. They are truly in pain and have always missed you. This is not your parents' fault. So, can you forgive them? The boy could no longer hold back and burst into loud sobs, years of suppressed emotions pouring out completely at that moment. He also agreed to go with Aileen tomorrow to see Duke Colin, and this entire scene was remotely recorded by the people Duke Colin had sent. He had completely confirmed that the child was indeed his son. He ordered his subordinates to protect them near the inn at all times. "My son, father has finally found you." As for Lionheart, although he was very happy, he was even more worried that from now on Aileen would no longer be able to live with him. He grabbed the girl's hand tightly. "Aileen is not allowed to leave. You must live with me. Otherwise, I won't acknowledge that father." As he spoke, his tone gradually turned into pleading, because he always felt that one day Aileen would leave him. The commotion outside also alerted Lusalawen at the door. He peered inside through the crack, only to find someone tugging at his master. So he kicked the door open and rushed in, anxiously asking Aileen, "Master, is this long-haired freak bullying you? Please step outside and wait. I'll teach this brat a lesson for you." But before Aileen could speak, the two were already pulling at each other in confrontation. As they tugged hard on her hands, the girl felt as if her arms were about to be torn off. To prevent the two from fighting on the spot, Aileen suddenly collapsed and lay directly on the ground. Pretending to faint from hunger, she finally got both of them to calm down. Then she and Lusalawen cleaned up the room together, while Lionheart went out to find food. Suddenly, the white-haired boy asked Aileen, "That kid is a mage, right?" Aileen was puzzled. How did he know? Lionheart hadn't used any magic just now. The white-haired boy said he could sense the magical aura around him.
"Don't worry, master.
Even if he's a mage, I can beat him." Only then did the girl belatedly remember. Right, the future high priest was originally a magical genius. Next, the boy prepared to take off Eileen's robe to hang it up to dry, and the girl did not refuse. Lusalawen extremely disliked beast men, even to the point of disgust. "As long as he sees my tail, he will definitely stay far away from me." Unexpectedly, there was none of the disgust she had imagined. Instead, the boy found the fluffy tail extremely cute. This left Aileen dumbfounded. That's not how the script was written. She couldn't understand why Lusalawen insisted on following her wholeheartedly. The boy sincerely told her, "I have a reason I must serve my master, because you," as if by fate, Save someone like me. Just as Lucilowen wanted to say more, Lightheart pushed the door open and came in, dragging dozens of pounds of crayfish behind him. Today, he had to let little Pinky achieve crayfish freedom. Aileen was already starving, so the three of them chatted while eating and gradually grew more familiar with each other. When they walked downstairs together, a luxury car was already parked at the entrance as promised. Colin had used the highest level of courtesy to welcome his son home. Under the gaze of hundreds of servants, they somewhat stiffly stepped into the car. Before leaving, however, they specifically left a letter for the director at the inn. Not long after, the motorcade arrived at the ducal residence, where the butler had long been waiting. The boy finally met the father he had missed for more than 10 years. His eyes reddened uncontrollably. Colin pulled his son into a tight embrace. No extra words were needed. Everything was conveyed in that hug, and the man was so emotional that he shed tears. He promised Lightheart that he would never lose him again. The three of them temporarily moved into Duke Colin's residence. Then, he prepared to have a private talk with Aileen. The man got straight to the point and asked Aileen what reward she wanted. This was something Aileen hadn't expected, but since he brought it up, why refuse something free? She said she wanted a house. It didn't have to be big, just a small villa in the capital would do. Unexpectedly, the man told her that while he could give her a house, she wouldn't be able to use it because the Empire had regulations that low-ranking beastmen were not allowed to own property. Aileen immediately panicked. Had she been discovered? Colin told her not to be nervous. I knew from the first meeting yesterday. It's not because of your tail. It's because of the magical aura you emit. Only then did Aileen realize that in the eyes of high-level mages, her identity was completely transparent. After learning that Eileen's race was lizard, Colin also became puzzled. Since when did the lizard tribe produce pink lizards? How strange. Could it be a mutation? He felt that must be the case, which was why Aileen had been expelled from her tribe and sent to the orphanage. In that case, I have a better idea. Then he snapped his fingers. A magical contract appeared in front of Aileen, a contract to become the adopted daughter of the Colin family. As long as you sign this, you can become Lightheart's sister in name from now on. You will also receive the protection of the Colin family, with food, clothing, housing, and education all provided. Compared to your impoverished life at the orphanage, it will be 10,000 times better. Faced with such tempting conditions, Aileen unexpectedly rejected them decisively. The man was puzzled. If you miss this chance, there won't be another. Do you still want to go back to the orphanage? But Eileen's eyes were extremely firm. Maybe to you, the orphanage represents poverty and hardship, but to us, it is everything. You will never understand that feeling. After Aileen left, the man fell into deep thought. He began to admire the girl a little. That determined look in her eyes could not be faked. The Duke believed that Aileen must have been ostracized by her tribe since childhood. She must have endured a lot of hardship to grow up this far. That was why she had a maturity beyond her age. He developed a strong interest in Aileen. Then, he picked up a fountain pen. I will make you my daughter. Although you won't compare to my biological son, I will certainly raise you into an outstanding person. This time, the man did not seek Eileen's consent and directly wrote an adoption application to submit to the imperial palace. As long as the emperor agreed, Aileen, you would have no choice but to be my daughter. Meanwhile, Aileen was still feeling irritated because the white-haired and the purple-haired boys kept arguing. I really don't need you to take care of me. Can you let me rest quietly for a while? There were still several things to do. Before going to the magic tower to withdraw money, she needed to plan an escape route. She also had to send Lucilowen to the temple, and finally deliver the balance fragment to the Edom family. But she couldn't hand it over personally. Maybe she should write to Elno and explain clearly about being falsely accused. Then she put on her cloak while saying she was going out for some air and to buy some letter paper.
Please don't follow me.
I want to be alone for a while. Then she went to the commercial street to buy envelopes. But she didn't know that she had already been targeted by others. A big catch. A pink beast man was high-end merchandise, and because the plot required it, Aileen was captured. The dean on the other side also received a WeChat message from Duke Colin. This little girl is quite impressive, but he doesn't have time to go to Duke Colin's residence right now. Because he has more important matters to attend to, he put on a mask. The dean arrived at a place glittering with gold and jade. This was the darkest underground auction house, where children, beast men, and slaves were all auctioned off. And the man's purpose in coming here was to buy as many children as possible and bring them back to the orphanage to live normal lives. Unexpectedly, just as he arrived backstage, he discovered that Aileen was also being held there. The staff of the auction house were enthusiastically introducing her as the newest merchandise that had just arrived today. Although she was a lizard beast man, her fur color was exceptionally rare, but the man's fists clenched tighter and tighter. His identity tag was instantly crushed in his grip and fell to the ground. He told the auction house staff to quickly get him a new one. After sending them away, the man took off his hood and whispered to Aileen, "Don't speak, it's me. Later, no matter what happens, do not act rashly. I'll find a chance to get you out." Just as he finished speaking, the staff member returned. He brought the dean to the main hall. Meanwhile, Aileen was still completely confused. How did she end up getting kidnapped out of nowhere? If you ask, it's because the author did it on purpose. Suddenly, the door lock was opened. A boy was roughly thrown inside. The boy cursed toward the door, saying, Just you wait. When Aileen saw the boy's face clearly, her memory was awakened again. This hot-tempered little blonde should be the crown prince of the empire. In the original story, he sneaked out of the palace without his guards, all to buy a gift for the girl he loved. Then he was targeted by the people of this auction house. The little blonde kept coughing, as if he were injured. But Aileen knew he was an extremely tragic supporting character in the original story. He was born with a congenital illness, then was captured and brought here to suffer, and was even deliberately poisoned. Although he was eventually rescued and brought back to the palace because the poison ran too deep, he still died in the end, and only after an investigation did the royal family discover that it was the royal opposition who had deliberately poisoned the crown prince. The emperor flew into a rage. He would rather kill by mistake than let anyone go. He wiped out many nobles in one stroke. From this point on, the plot entered war mode, and the one who blew the horn of war was the female lead, Shalnai. Thinking of this, Aileen suddenly felt terrified because, as someone who loved peace, she absolutely did not want to see war break out. So she decided to save the crown prince. As long as he didn't die, everything could be changed. She immediately grabbed the boy and told him to stop shouting. No one would come even if he screamed his lungs out. Hearing Eileen's words, the boy gradually calmed down. Meanwhile, at Duke Colin's residence, the entire household was searching for Aileen. Lightheart was crying nonstop in sorrow, and the man felt distressed seeing his son cry. Damn it, Aileen, where on earth are you? On the rooftop, Luslowen, dressed in formal attire, prayed to the gods. Honorable Lord Alma, you must protect my master and keep her safe. Meanwhile, the crown prince gradually became more familiar with the girl. Aileen took out paper and pen to write letters. Seeing this, the crown prince grabbed a sheet as well. He also wanted to write to the girl he loved. No, to be precise, it should be called a will. Dear Lillian, my body is getting worse and worse. This may be the last letter I write to you. Aileen wrote 2 letters, one to the dean and one to Elno. Inside, she recorded the antidote for the crown prince, as well as a few words for Elno. Then she placed the balance fragment inside as well. Now they just needed to wait for the dean to rescue them, then find a way to deliver the items to the Edom family. Suddenly, the crown prince handed his letter to Aileen. This is a love letter I wrote to my fiancé.
Help me see how it is.
After all, you're both girls. You wouldn't know until you read it, but once you did, it was shocking. This wasn't a love letter at all. It was clearly just a narcissistic boy indulging himself. Aside from praising how handsome he was, it was just I like you, without any real emotion. But the name Lillian sounded so familiar, yet she just couldn't remember. It was as if someone were forcibly shutting down her memory. The crown prince, however, lowered his head in dejection. This was his first time writing a love letter. Suddenly, he began coughing violently. Blood spilled all over the ground. Aileen knew his condition had worsened. Panicked, she kept shouting for help, but no one responded. This couldn't happen. The crown prince absolutely must not die. She ran to the boy and comforted him, telling him to hold on. Her obsession grew stronger and stronger. Please, can someone come and get us out of here right now? The light appeared once again, just like last time at Edom. The next second, Luslowen was teleported to this place. Aileen stared in shock. It was like an angel descending. The boy revealed a smile. Lord Alma, you finally heard my prayer. Then the boy rescued Aileen and the others. And just as they began to flee, the auction officially started. If Aileen and the others wanted to escape successfully, they had to pass behind the stage, and the host was introducing Aileen, Little Pinky the Lizard Beast Man, a top-tier premium product. But Aileen suddenly noticed that someone in the audience looked exceptionally familiar. When he heard Lizard Beast Man, he immediately stood up. He wore a red dragon mask, and in this world, the only person allowed to wear a red dragon mask was Elno. Aileen had no idea that Elno was on the verge of going mad searching for her. Luslowen snapped the girl out of her daze. Aileen had no time to think. Escaping was the most important thing now. Soon they reached the outskirts and could finally rest a little. Through brief conversation, Luslowen learned that the little blonde locked up with his master was actually the crown prince. But Aileen was puzzled. How had Luslowen suddenly appeared? The boy maintained his cute, dazed smile. Because I heard my master's call, I can teleport to your side. Aileen didn't think too much about it. After all, this world was full of magic. Then Aileen took out the 2 written letters and asked the boy to deliver them for her. One for the red dragon mask and one for the gray wolf mask. The boy immediately agreed. But master needs to hug me first. Only then will I have the strength to fly over. Although Aileen was a bit confused, she still hugged him tightly. Not for anything else, just to thank Luslowen for saving her. The boy finally revealed a satisfied smile, and at such close contact, Luslowen sensed something. He told the girl, Master, perhaps you are not a lizard. Just as Aileen wanted to ask more, she found herself surrounded by a magic circle. This was Luslowen's magic. It could conceal their aura and protect their safety. Then the boy slowly disappeared. Aileen fell into deep thought. If I'm not a lizard, then what am I? Suddenly, people from the auction house chased after them. Aileen was so frightened she didn't dare breathe loudly. They hadn't expected to be discovered so quickly. It turned out that just as they had escaped the auction, Elno had grabbed one of the auction staff, and a terrifying aura filled the entire hall. "Take me to see that lizard beast man immediately." And so they discovered the escaped Aileen ahead of time. Elno gave them a death order. "If you can't find that little lizard, then all of you can go die." Lucilowen slowly appeared in front of the man. Wearing a white mask, he said, "Someone asked me to pass something to you." Facing the suddenly appearing brat, the irritable man had already gathered magic in his hand, ready to release it. But when he saw Aileen written on the envelope, he instantly calmed down. When he opened it, inside was the antidote for the Crown Prince and the formula for the soon-to-break-out viral vaccine. More importantly, Eileen's few lines of apology and her aggrieved clarification that she was not a thief made the man's heart tremble nonstop. Suddenly, he sensed it. That aura belonged to Aileen. Elno followed that aura and chased after it. Meanwhile, Lucilowen had already returned to Eileen's side. Because of his magic protection, they had not been discovered. But the Crown Prince suddenly fell unconscious. Aileen knew his condition was already very serious, so she told Lucilowen to send the Crown Prince back to the palace first. The boy refused. He would not abandon his master. But Aileen was firm. She told him, "I'm begging you, okay? The Crown Prince absolutely cannot come to any harm." Although the boy was very reluctant, faced with Eileen's command, he could only reluctantly compromise. He repeatedly reminded Aileen, "You absolutely must not run around. Wait for me, I'll be back soon." Then the boy disappeared. Without Lucilowen's magical support, the magic array also became faint. A man walked toward her. It was Elno. He had finally found Aileen. Aileen still held onto a trace of hope, thinking the magic array could fool the man. But she had underestimated Elno's strength. The man gently crouched in front of Aileen. "Daddy has finally found you." Facing the man's direct gaze, Aileen timidly lowered her head. She was afraid of being disliked by Elno. She was afraid to face him because of her identity as a lizard beastkin. But she suddenly recalled those beautiful moments from the past. The time she was held in her father's arms, the moments he lifted her high into the air, and the little teddy bear her father gave her. Those times were truly warm and happy. The man reached out his hand to her and gently poured out his heart to Aileen. "During the time you disappeared, Daddy really missed you. I tried every possible way, but couldn't find you. I know you didn't steal the balance fragment. The ones who framed you, Daddy has already sent them to their doom. And at that time when Daddy reached out his hand, I was only afraid you would fall and get hurt. I just wanted to catch you.
Don't leave Daddy again, okay?
Only then did Aileen suddenly open her eyes wide. She couldn't understand. Why was Elno saying these things to her? But since he had said so, she decided to make things clear as well. She asked the man, "Isn't this just a game? Haven't you grown tired of this so-called father-daughter game?" Unexpectedly, the man told her, "Who told you this was a game? From the very beginning, I never treated it as a game. I truly like you as my daughter. But I'm just an ugly pink lizard. Don't you hate lizards the most? Hating lizards and liking you do not conflict at all, okay? But I can't completely transform into a human, and I can't hide my tail either." The man said it didn't matter. "You don't need to hide anything, just be yourself. No matter what you want to do, Daddy will support you unconditionally. So, can my daughter come home with Daddy?" Aileen was finally moved. She believed in Elno's sincerity. This was not a game. The barrier between father and daughter finally broke, and she lay in his long mist embrace. Aileen finally smiled happily and gradually relaxed. After an exhausting day, she could finally sleep peacefully. The man held Aileen tightly in his arms. "Let's go, my daughter. We're going home." And after the girl fell asleep, Elno summoned the hidden shadow guards. "Rescue those imprisoned beastkin and children, and as for those scum, leave none alive." The shadow guards all felt as if the sun had risen from the west. As the special operations team serving Edom, after so many years, this was the first time they had received an order from the young master, the one who had once sworn never to command them and never to inherit the position of family head. After finding his daughter, he finally had the intention to inherit the Edom family. It seems this Miss Aileen is indeed very special. On the other side, Lucilowen had just returned, only to find that the sky had collapsed. The master was gone. The boy was in a terrible mood. What if she had encountered bad people? Just then, someone from the auction house approached. Seeing how handsome the boy was, he guessed he would be a good commodity. Little did he know the boy in front of him was already furious. Then his pupils changed. The power of God activated.
Kneel.
The man's body lost control, and he fell to his knees. "It's all your fault that my master encountered danger. So then, the rest of your life, you will live in repentance." After the divine light surged, the man had already become a fool. He kept muttering, "Repent, I must repent." And at the auction house on the other side, screams filled the air. Just as Elno had ordered, this disgusting place was completely eradicated by Edom's shadow guards. A few days later, Aileen woke up in the Edom family estate. Karen and Hillian had been guarding by her bedside. Seeing Aileen wake up, they were overjoyed. Karen was almost in tears. His little sister had been unconscious for several days. She also learned everything from her brother. Fortunately, her antidote formula had allowed the Crown Prince to escape life-threatening danger. Moreover, that potion could also suppress the spread of infection. "Thanks to you, this disaster was resolved, and father's mood has visibly improved. As for Shalnai, she stayed in her room every day. No one knew what she was busy with. After hearing all this, Aileen finally felt relieved. Elno walked in. He looked at Aileen dotingly and asked if she wanted something to eat. But Aileen still needed time to adapt to their love. She shook her head, indicating she didn't want to eat. She just wanted to rest a bit longer. The man knew his daughter must be exhausted. He gently held Eileen's hand. From now on, I won't let you suffer any grievances again. Remember, no matter what happens, Daddy will always be by your side. Aileen suddenly felt very warm. This feeling of being loved was truly warm. Then Elno told his two sons to go out first, but Karen still wanted to stay a little longer. Unexpectedly, he was glared back.
Aileen wants to rest.
Can't you understand? Karen was unwillingly dragged out just like that. After they left, Aileen could finally have a good sleep. Inside the Duke Cullen's residence on the other side, Liehart had been listless all day. His mind was filled entirely with longing for Aileen. After learning about it, the headmaster specially hurried over from the orphanage and comforted the boy, telling him to look forward. Aileen is blessed with great fortune. She will definitely be fine. If Aileen knew you were so haggard every day, she would surely feel very sad too. Then the headmaster took out the little bear doll that Aileen had left at the orphanage, hoping to use it to ease Liehart's pain of longing. Sure enough, the effect was remarkable. The boy was instantly so moved that tears streamed down his face. He hugged the doll tightly in his arms and prayed, "Aileen, please, you must not let anything happen to you." Meanwhile, Elno arrived at the Imperial Palace. He had something very important to do. The Emperor had already been waiting for him for quite some time. He expressed his gratitude to Elno. "Thank you for saving my son and bringing him the antidote. However, his congenital condition still cannot be completely cured. As for the matter at the auction house, you handled it beautifully. Those people should have disappeared long ago. So, tell me, what reward do you want?" But Elno merely handed the Emperor an application form. It was an application to include Aileen in the direct lineage registry of the Edom family. Elno said that all he needed was your Majesty's signature on it. He wanted nothing else. Unexpectedly, the Emperor froze on the spot. What the hell? Is raising lizard beast men a trend among you lately? Elno thought the Emperor was joking. "Your Majesty, please don't provoke me. Are you trying to duel with me?" To his surprise, the Emperor told him, "I can't sign this," because this pink lizard beast man named Aileen had already been adopted by Duke Cullen 2 days ago. As he spoke, he even showed Cullen's adoption application to Elno. Unexpectedly, Elno crushed it into pieces in his hand, furious beyond measure. "Cullen, huh? What the hell do you think you are? Daring to snatch my daughter?" The Emperor told him to calm down and not wreck his room. He explained that the young master of the Cullen family cherished her very much and treated Aileen as his own younger sister. And Duke Cullen had hardly ever asked him for favors, which was why he agreed. "If you also want this girl named Aileen, then go negotiate with Cullen. As long as he agrees to withdraw the application, I will sign for you." Seeing this, Elno stood up directly. Fine, I'll go negotiate with him." "Negotiate my ass. If he disappears, won't the application become void?" As he said this, he revealed a gentle smile. The Emperor looked utterly helpless. He's really a damn lunatic. And in the following many days, Duke Cullen also failed to have a single good night's sleep. Every night, as soon as he fell asleep, masked men came to assassinate him, and the defensive magic array in his house was like mere decoration, completely useless. This showed that these people possessed very advanced magical tools, and they always inexplicably called him a thief. The key point was that he couldn't find out who was behind it. With no other choice, he went to the Underground Intelligence Guild to place a commission. He just wanted to know who exactly was targeting him. But several days had already passed, and even the Underground Guild couldn't find out who the mastermind was. Meanwhile, Aileen finally adapted to her new life. Shalnai also came out of her room, and the first thing she did was look for Aileen. She pulled Aileen into her arms and rubbed against her affectionately. "Big sister really missed you so much." Only then did Aileen learn that during the time she had disappeared, Shalnai had been thinking about her all along, and she seemed not to care about her lizard identity at all. Because the very first time she saw Aileen, she had already been deeply attracted by Aileen's adorable appearance. After Aileen was framed, because of Mela's scheming, the maids in the Duke's residence had been cursing Aileen behind her back for being ungrateful. Miss Mela treated her so well. Every time she heard such remarks, Shalnai would stand up and speak for Aileen. She knew Aileen was innocent. Even as a beast man, she was innocent. She felt Aileen was pitiful, hiding alone behind a pillar at that time. She must have been very sad. So Shalnai had been secretly gathering evidence. In the end, she exposed Mela's other crimes and informed everyone in the Duke's residence that she would not allow Aileen to suffer such injustice. Now that she saw her little sister return safely, Shalnai was truly happy. It was just that she still had work to do now. After she finished, she would come to play with her. She waved goodbye to Aileen. After Shalnai left, someone appeared behind Aileen. Hearing that deep, resonant voice, Aileen turned her head. Sure enough, it was the old master. He had come to apologize to Aileen, but as the head of the Edom family, apologizing to a junior felt somewhat embarrassing. So he kept a stern face and scolded Aileen for running around recklessly. And even getting captured by people from the auction house, what a fool. And when you didn't steal anything, you should have denied it outright. Also, from now on, you are not allowed to run around without my permission. Although Aileen knew the old master meant no harm, his tone was far too harsh. Suddenly, the wall behind the old master exploded. Old geezer, can't you speak more gently to my daughter? What the hell? I can't even scold her a couple of times. Then he pointed at Elno and began cursing loudly. But Elno simply picked Aileen up gently. Good girl. Don't be afraid. From now on, just treat whatever this old guy says as nonsense. He carried Aileen to the bedroom, where there was a large pile of books. These are all the books you need to study at your age. I've brought them all for you. If you want to go to school, Daddy can arrange that too. You don't have to learn everything like your brothers do. You just need to be happy every day. But Aileen still decided to study seriously because everyone in the Edom family was a genius and she didn't want to embarrass her father. The man smiled in relief. As expected of my daughter, you're amazing. Daddy has something to do today, so I won't keep you company. Then he leaned down to kiss Aileen on the forehead. My precious daughter, see you tomorrow. Aileen blushed from being doted on like that, whether in her previous life or this one. It was her first time being loved so indulgently. Just as Elno stepped out, he received a message from his assistant. It was sent by Lord Khan of the Shadow Guards. Last night's assassination attempt on Duke Cullen had failed again. He explained that Duke Cullen was too powerful and the mission might not be completed. Elno casually tossed the letter aside. Cullen, oh Cullen, it seems I'll have to meet you personally. Then he went to Duke Cullen's residence. Cullen was in a foul mood and had no desire whatsoever to receive Elno. But Elno wore a cheeky grin. Well, Brother Cullen, you're still alive? Cullen had a bad premonition, and before he could figure it out, he saw Elno smirking wickedly. How does it feel not being able to sleep every day? Not dying at the hands of my shadow guards means you've got some skill. Cullen finally realized that Elno was the culprit, but he wasn't afraid at all. After all, he was quite powerful himself. He asked Elno whether he intended to start a family war. Elno chuckled. A family war is too exaggerated. It's just a personal grudge. That infuriated Cullen. I haven't offended you at all. What personal grudge? If you want to fight, just say it. Stop wasting my time. Elno directly took out Eileen's identity information. This girl is my daughter, understand? Only then did Cullen understand the whole story. After learning that Aileen was in the Edom family, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. But I was the first to adopt Aileen. Do you think you can just take her back? Because you want to? He directly rejected Elno's request. Want me to withdraw the application? Dream on. Elno threatened Cullen. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a penalty. Unexpectedly, Cullen was not afraid in the slightest. Do you think I scare that easily? Use whatever means you have. And let me tell you one more thing. My son and Aileen are extremely good friends. Thus, Elno returned without success. Cullen, you don't know what's good for you, huh? Then don't blame me for using forceful means. Suddenly, he saw a child sitting on the ground. It seemed to be the one who had delivered a letter to him before, the one who could use magic and had no ill intentions toward Aileen. He then called a servant and had the child brought back. Aileen would surely be happy. And Luslowen finally saw Aileen again. Hello, Master. That uncle really didn't lie to me. Aileen was utterly shocked. Had this kid really been squatting at Duke Cullen's residence all along? Seeing that his daughter knew him, the man felt relieved. Letting this child be Eileen's playmate didn't seem bad. But Luslowen directly picked up Eileen's hand and pressed it against his face. It's most comfortable being by Master's side. The next second, Elno lifted him up by the collar. You're filthy. How can you touch Aileen? So he ordered someone to take him to get washed. He told his daughter not to worry. After washing him 20,000 times, he would bring him back. Then he crouched down gently and told Aileen, Daughter, Daddy has to tell you something. If a stranger says he's your father and asks you to go with him, you must not agree. Your only father is me, understand? Because he was afraid that Cullen might play dirty, so he had to give Aileen a warning in advance. Only after seeing his daughter nod in agreement did the man feel at ease. Suddenly, Elno's head began to ache. Aileen quickly supported her father. She anxiously asked about his condition, but she discovered that the aura emanating from Elno was the power of a dragon, and he was falling into berserk mode. Aileen was extremely worried. Why did it have to happen at this time, when Sister Shalnai just happened to be away? She was terrified. She didn't want this hard-won family to continue suffering like this, but with her small body, she simply couldn't support her father. Elno's reason would soon vanish completely. Aileen kept shouting, someone help. Her determination to save her father surged wildly in her heart. Her ability activated once again, and countless rays of light gathered around Aileen, illuminating the entire Duke's residence. She purified Elno's berserk state. The man found it unbelievable, and just now he had even smelled a faint fragrance. But due to exhaustion of magic power, Aileen could no longer maintain her human form. When she woke up, she found herself in Elno's arms, and in front of her stood Lislowen, with a sword pointed at him. Aileen immediately jumped down and stood in front of Lislowen. She did not want to see her brother and her friend come into conflict. Seeing his daughter step forward, Elno snapped his fingers. The three boys finally quieted down and stood at attention. Aileen happily jumped onto her father's shoulder and rubbed against him. Then he told the three to get out quickly. His daughter needed to sleep. After Aileen fell asleep, while the man was tucking her in, he discovered that wings had grown on Eileen's back, and he was instantly shocked. Because lizards couldn't possibly have wings, this made Elno increasingly suspicious of Eileen's true identity, but his heart was firm. No matter what Aileen was, she would forever be his daughter. Aileen, however, did not know that because she was in a growth stage, her appetite was increasing wildly every day, even leaving the maids and chef stunned. Perhaps because the former Aileen had been too self-conscious, she began to worry. If I eat so much, will Dad and the others dislike me? Elno saw her concern and comforted her. You are my daughter. No matter how much you want to eat, it's not a problem. And haven't you noticed? The head chef even feels proud because you enjoy the food he makes. Even your brothers and Shalmai hope you eat more and grow up quickly. So remember, no matter what happens, don't be sad. We will always stand behind you. After her father's guidance, Eileen's mood finally returned to normal. She hadn't expected that she was so important in their hearts. She really wanted to say thank you to her father, but in her lizard form, she couldn't speak. A radiant light surged from her tail. Driven by her determination, Aileen finally transformed back into human form, and she was able to personally say to Elno, "Thank you, Father." Her father arranged a personal maid for her. The little green-haired girl was named Rolandler. She had been carefully selected by Elno, a top student from the Maid Academy. After a brief exchange, the two quickly became familiar with each other. But Aileen had something more important to do today. She was going to play with Sister Shalmai. However, Roland stared blankly at Eileen's swaying little tail, thinking it was just too adorable. So much so that when Aileen spoke to her, she spaced out. "My apologies, Mississippi. Your fluffy tail is just too cute. I'll take you to Miss Shalmai right away." Then Aileen knocked on Shalmai's door. After hearing Eileen's voice from inside, it suddenly sounded like a battle was breaking out, with loud thumping noises. 3 seconds later, the door opened, and Shalmai appeared, drenched in sweat. After Aileen went in, her clever self immediately noticed. Shalmai must have been tidying up just now, stuffing all the messy things into the wardrobe. This warmed her heart. It seemed Shalmai didn't want her to see a messy scene. Suddenly, she saw a pink doll that looked just like her lizard form. But the next second, Shalmai shut the wardrobe door with a bang, as if deliberately not letting Aileen see. Then Shalmai sat down right next to Aileen. This confused the girl. Logically, shouldn't she sit across from me? Little did she know, Shalmai just wanted to cuddle up to Aileen. From her sister's account, Aileen learned that she hadn't been at the Duke's residence these past few days. The prince's condition had worsened, and the emperor had summoned her to the palace to treat him. After several exhausting days, his symptoms were finally somewhat alleviated, and today she received another invitation from the palace. Tomorrow she had to go treat the prince again. Then she looked at Aileen, wanting her to go to the palace together. She even put on a pitiful expression. "Little sister, you have no idea how bored I am at the palace. Please come with me." But Aileen knew that with Shalmai's current abilities, she still couldn't completely cure that blonde brat. And she also wanted to save the tragic supporting character, the prince. So she agreed to Shalmai without hesitation. The next second, she was tightly hugged by her sister, who was genuinely overjoyed. Shalmai also noticed Eileen's swaying tail. She even begged Aileen to let her touch it. It looked so fluffy and adorable. Aileen simply couldn't refuse the sister. Unexpectedly, Shalmai became addicted to touching it. She even hoped to sleep with Aileen every day. This left Aileen utterly speechless. She felt this was a bit too outrageous. When she turned her head, Shalmai was actually having a nosebleed. That made Aileen even more speechless. It wasn't just outrageous, it was unbelievable. Then she said goodbye to Shalmai. As soon as she opened the door, she saw Roland staring intently at something. Her sudden appearance startled Roland. She quickly hid the item behind her back, and that item was a chibi version of Aileen in her lizard form. After Aileen left, Shalmai took out the doll from the wardrobe. She had knitted it herself. It had taken tens of thousands of stitches and countless sleepless nights to complete. An Aileen doll, perfectly replicated one-to-one. Looking at her creation, Shalmai was extremely satisfied. She held the Aileen doll in her arms, unable to put it down, and the purpose of doing all this was to mass-produce the dolls after Aileen made her debut in high society, then put them on the market. Such a cute little lizard. Surely many people would fall in love with Aileen. Shalmai revealed a satisfied smile.